Hey guys, my name is Lolo Alexis, aka System of Curves, and I am here with the Tea Time with Monica Takeover. She is taking a break, but no fear, I have my girls back to come and talk to you guys about a topic that's so passionate to me, that's so passionate, I think, to a lot of women, especially in the climate that we live in, which is body positivity and what that means. Now, before I get started, in true traditional fashion, I am going to bring with you guys my glass of wine as it's Wednesday, Wine Down Wednesday. I love a nice red, so I'm going to sip and drop gems and drop tea. And also in traditional fashion, as Monica would do it, we are going to open up this segment with a quote that is going to set the tone for this conversation. So this quote says, and it is by Jessica Ortner, "You can't hate yourself happy. You can't criticize yourself thin. You can't shame yourself worthy. Real change begins with self love and self care." Now, I thought that this quote was especially powerful simply because it addresses all the areas to me that body positivity consists of: worthiness, the condition, the look of your body, you know, what self love and self care actually mean, and the way that we constantly ridicule and criticize our bodies into a place of feeling like we're worthy, like we're, acceptable to society and everything in between. And as much as body positivity can be a positive message, one of the things that really, I wanted to reiterate in tonight's discussion is that weight loss and body positivity are synonymous. I think that a lot of times when we see people lose weight in this plus size community space, it automatically triggers people to think that there are body positivity issues, that there are insecurities, that there are, pressures to conform to society's depiction of what beauty actually is. And while that might be true in some instances, because everybody doesn't lose weight for the same reasons, but I think that one of the most detrimental things that some people do within this space is they want to police your body when you're ready to change it. And that's the direct derogatory, notion of what body positivity is. Truth be told, everybody doesn't lose weight for the same reasons. There are people who are perfectly comfortable and confident with themselves that lose weight for reasons outside of just wanting to fit into a mold described by what society accepts as the perfect ideal body. Yes, we live in a culture full of weight loss surgeries, plastic surgeries, you know, hip additions, lipo, you name it. We've seen it all. I mean, you go on social media all the time. And it was funny because I was looking at, the Shade Room one time, and, a comedian cracked a joke that every woman is starting to look the same. Like everybody's about starting to have this carbon copy body of teeny waist, wide hips, big breasts, butt job, with thighs that don't touch. Everyone's having this plastic surgery done to give off this fantasy of the perfect body. But on the flip side, a lot of people are still wanting to know, where are the real bodies at? I got a real body, right? But to get back on topic, you know one of the things that triggered me recently, it's not too recent, but previously during the pandemic, is Lizzo posted, a photo about her doing a detox and about her, wanting to be one with her body and to do and treat her temple as highly as she felt about it. And she was attacked by people saying that she was conforming to society's standard of beauty, which I felt was so erroneous. And I felt that, you know, it's the opposite of what body positivity is. So my personal definition of body positivity is loving yourself, being yourself, and doing whatever you need to make sure you're performing in your best self, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Let's be honest, not everybody can maintain a certain frame. I know for me specifically, I think I'm beautiful. You guys don't have to agree, but I think I'm quite stunning the way that I am. However, medically, I'm not stunning. And as much as I wouldn't change a pound on me to fit anybody's definition of what beautiful is, realistically, I have to lose some weight in order to balance my hormones and to ensure that I can live the best quality of life for me and to make sure that my body is operating in its utmost performance levels, okay? For future pregnancies, for, longevity of life. And let's be clear, anybody could die tomorrow, for unhealth related things. But I always tell people, if you know better, do better. So if you know that you need to make some changes to live your best life, to me, that's body positive. To me, weight loss isn't synonymous with not being body positive. Don't get me wrong. There are some people that we have seen play out, and I won't name drop because it's not a time to be petty, that have lost weight and then criticize their old selves or have a hatred towards larger bodies once they've lost weight because whatever trauma they did not heal from while they were in their larger frame is still tormenting them, even though they've completely 180 from who they used to be. We've also seen people do the excessive opposite where they celebrate being unhealthy. They celebrate, okay, I have these health issues, I have all this going on, but I'm going to further damage my body by doing everything in the extreme to harm it, whether that's overeating, over projecting, over, emphasizing how being fat is great. And again, that to me is also not body positive because you don't want to send a message that being not your best self is okay. Granted, everybody isn't going to be the same size. I think that when you take a journey down body positivity and you take a journey down wanting to lose weight and you take a journey down wanting to do what's best for you, you have to do it from a healthy mental space. Whatever you're changing on yourself, you got to be in love with it before you change it. I tell people all the time, as I'm starting to lose more weight, more so recently, I understood why many times before I failed because I wanted to change to meet someone else's standard. I wanted to change because I was unhappy and not in love with who I am. However, as I sit in front of you guys at 35 years old, the reason why I'm successful in this process most recently is because I'm in love with everything I am. I had to reach a place of true self love to really understand the components of adequate self care because you can over obsess and call it self care. You can over exercise. You can count calories to your blue in the face. You can develop eating disorders simply in the name of self care because something else is going on. So that's why projecting your inner demons or your inner insecurities on someone else's body is not body positive. You know, weight loss for a lot of women, in this plus size space does make some people happier simply because there may be some things that they want to change that they feel like will look better if they were smaller. And again, it's not my place to tell a woman that she can or cannot change her body to benefit herself. I think we have to mind everyone's body's business, right? So when you think about body positive, just like the quote says, you can't over criticize. Even though it says you can't over criticize yourself, then you can't over criticize someone else to not be smaller. Can't over criticize someone else to not do what's best for them that brings them inner peace. Even though there are people out here that aren't at inner peace, that may not be making the best decisions, it's not our place to dictate someone else's body. It's not our place to dictate how someone else deems themselves happy. And again, I know for me personally, when I talk to my doctor and my blood work looks amazing, and I feel more energetic and I'm feeling, like, okay, I'm going to be able to carry a baby full term, that my pregnancy in the future won't be high risk. that makes me happy. However, being beautiful is not included in my health goals because, again, I fell in love with every intricate part of myself prior to starting this last journey to get right. I literally took the time to speak life and to speak positivity and to speak encouragement into myself. To me, that's body positivity. To talk to yourself and say every day, like, despite how other people think about me, I'm in love with me. God made no mistake when he made me. God made my body this way to be a part of a journey that's a bigger purpose than myself. I always tell people, I always think of me going through my trials and tribulations with my body as a, roadmap to a woman later down the road that needs encouragement or inspiration. So, it gives me light and happiness to do good by my body because it may inspire someone else. But most importantly, the main thing that I have realized is I can't project my issues with anything that I'm dealing with onto other people. Real change, again, as the quote says, begins with self love and self care. Real body positivity begins with self love. A lot of us have put individuals in these matriarch positions in the plus size space. And when they start to do what's best for them, our insecurities scream loud because we were comfortable as long as a person existed in the same areas that we were insecure in. So we are comfortable, putting people in this plus size space as matriarchs as long as they remain plus size, as long as they, showcase what our insecurities are so that we feel more comfortable not to change who we are. And then the moment that someone decides to make a decision for their body, which they're entitled to under the body positivity mantra, a society of people who call themselves body positivity warriors, BOPO warriors, go haywire. And it's the direct offense that we accuse society of doing to us in general. Part of the reason the body positivity community exists is because we were tired of society projecting their standard of beauty and what would be deemed as acceptable to be successful, to be loved, to be honored, to be cherished, to be considered beautiful, to be considered, front women in movies and stories, to be considered heroes and heroines and all of that. We were tired of it. So it's so imperative that we as a community don't try to dictate what body positivity is amongst one another. We can't tell you you have to stay plus size. It may not work for some people. Like for me, sure, I will probably, till I rest my head in the grave, be a thicker girl. But I might not always be as thick as people remember me as. And I don't want anyone to think that I was ashamed of who I was in this body that I'm existing in right now. There's no shame attached to anything. Every time I shed a pound or lose an inch or something, morphs or changes on my body, you know, it's a beautiful moment, not because I'm getting smaller by any means, but I feel like my body is responding to the self love and self care that I'm giving her. My body's responding to me speaking life into her and telling her that you can be better, you can be the greatest. We can heal. We can reverse diabetes. We can reverse insulin resistance. We can reverse PCOS. We can get into a place in which we don't have to take medication like we used to. And I get excited about that because for me, optimal optimal health is self-love. Optimal health is self-care. Optimal health is body positivity. For other women, it may be different. It may be always looking fabulous, showcases how body positive I feel by not allowing myself to look a certain way just because society says I shouldn't wear bold colors or I shouldn't wear fitted dresses or I shouldn't wear my hair where I'm drawing attention to myself or I shouldn't put on beautiful makeup. We've heard it all. But I want to press upon you to do what's best for you, to make sure that you're not allowing anyone to tell you that you're not body positive just because you're changing yourself. Let's be very, very clear. Change is inevitable. As much as we would love life to stay the same, I think one of the things that we have learned over the past year and a half, and probably for another couple years to come, is change can happen at the blink of the eye. This pandemic crept up on us like nobody's business. I remember at the top of the pandemic thinking that I was going to be in Jamaica this year for a friend's 40th, i.e., Monica, and thinking that I was going to Egypt. I literally, in my head, had planned out to celebrate myself being single, being happy, and going on an international trip every quarter. I had plans in 2020 to go on a trip every quarter to somewhere international. Not only did the pandemic happen, but I lost my job at the top of 2020. And at that point in time, I realized that change is inevitable. Not only will life change, the world will change, but people will change, and they're entitled to change. No one's mandated to stay the same. No one's required to be who they were yesterday if they deem that that person yesterday isn't suitable for the goals, the visions, the dreams, and the pathway in which they want to go. That's how we have to look at people changing themselves and still being body positive. I am the biggest cheerleader for people over, you know, over and above being themselves. I am a champion for anyone who is proud enough to be comfortable in the skin that they're in, if it's coming from a healthy space, but when it's not, and when we're projecting or when we are hiding behind others, likeness to medicate ourselves into thinking that we're okay with who we are. And then we're so triggered by someone living their life because they're entitled to. That is so opposite of body positive. That's so opposite of what this entire movement was created for. It is completely and utterly synonymous with what society has already defined for us about our bodies. Only it's in the opposite concern area. We're telling people that they're not entitled to change. We're telling someone that if you decide to be body positive or plus size, you got to stay that way. And that's not fair. It's not fair. It's unrealistic pressure to put on someone who didn't ask to be a role model, who didn't ask to be a spokesmodel. One thing I can say about the Lizzo situation, that I don't ever think Lizzo volunteered to be the spokesmodel for all plus women. I think we put her there because it was one of the few times in our generation that we were able to see a plus size woman live so unapologetically. Like Lizzo is out here being sexy. She's showing body. She's twerking. She's letting it all hang out. And she's famous and she's celebrated. And she's showing us that, okay, I'm going to be sexy, baby, in this body. And I think a lot of us got comfortable placing her in a position that she never volunteered. Granted, she's for the big girls because she is a big girl, but she never said, I need to be the spokesmodel for what we need to be doing with our bodies. So when we view her taking care of herself or even dropping weight, it could simply be because, she's got to dance and perform. And she's like, look, maybe I need a little more endurance, and maybe her weight is holding her back. We don't know because, she's also not entitled to tell us her why. And that's another huge thing when it comes to body positivity, is you don't owe anyone your why if you're doing it for the betterment of yourself. We can't keep asking people to explain why they want to change. We can't keep asking or poking our nose into other people's business when it comes to their body. We can't keep forcing people in spaces that they never asked to be in. I remember I was watching a video of Beyonce, and then I'll wrap it up because I think I'm quite at the wrap up point. You know, I don't want to keep you guys all night. You know, it's dinner time, bouquet time. You know, you might need to be unwinding with the bae. Some people may be on vacation. So I'm not trying to wrap y'all up all night. But I saw a video the other day that Beyonce said that made me really think about today's topic and just the point to bring it all home. She said, as much as I don't mind being a role model, as much as I don't, mind, people looking up to me, I'm not responsible for raising anyone's kids. I'm not responsible for guiding them to be better people. I'm responsible to be true to myself. And if being true to myself motivates someone, that's amazing. But I'm not to be anyone's role model. I'm not to be anyone's, guide. Parents need to raise and guide their children, and adults and everyone alike need to soul search and find what it is about them that they are motivated by. What is it that they dream about? What is it that makes them unapologetically happy with themselves? And I'm paraphrasing because, again, she said it a different way, but that was the gist of it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Beyonce, if I couldn't love you anymore than I do right now. It is the perfect theme for how I feel about people in the plus community that we've put in these leadership, inspirational roles that they then volunteer for. As much as we can look up to them, as much as we can celebrate their accomplishments, as much as they may motivate us, they still never asked to be our role model. They never asked to be, in the position of influence or the head of the body positivity church. They never asked to be the pastor, the clergyman, the bishop, any of that of the body positivity church. So when we place these individuals in this position and get so impacted by them doing what's best for them to the point of ridicule, we are being just as toxic as society is to us already by telling us that we're not good enough. What you're telling someone is that it's not good enough to change. You stay where I feel you should be. Change is bad. Being healthy is bad. Being happy is bad because, again, all of these changes are tied to something bigger at the end of the day, and if that bigger thing makes someone at peace with themselves, that's body positive. If that bigger thing makes someone feel more aware of who they are by making a slight change, that's body positive. However, your self-care enhances who you are and makes you who you are, that's body positivity. It is not, and I repeat, it is not just being fat, just being plus, just having a body that makes other plus size people comfortable. It's not body positivity. That's more like a dictatorship. That's more like asking someone to be the band aid to our issues. That's what that sounds like to me. And I will tell you, on my journey, I've been ridiculed. I've been told that I'm trying to conform. I've had men try to, come at me like I'm doing something to attract more of them. And let me tell you, before I head out, okay, if you ain't like me fat, don't like me slim, because I'm not available for that. I've been fine the whole time. Fluffy face, fluffy stomach, fluffy thighs and all. One thing's been consistent. I've been fine the whole time. And that's what I would tell any woman. If somebody can't be with you through your whole ride of Any change that you're making, if they're only latching on when they see improvement, and again, that's subjective. That could be a whole nother podcast discussion, because if it's a change from being toxic to being healed, that's different. But if it's something very superficial and people weren't rocking with you until they saw you making superficial changes, or losing weight, or oh, you're wearing your hair better, or whatever it is that you're doing to take better care of yourself, and then they want to latch on, baby, drive by that bus stop. Drive by, because that's not body positive. Not body positive to only allow people to deal with you in your changed self. People who love you, people who respect you, who honor you, who are loyal, who know how amazing and how great you are going to be there your whole ride. They're going to be there through the high and the low. They're going to be there when you fluffy. They're going to be there when you slim. They're going to respect your ability to change, your want to change, your need to change, right? All that. So that's my time, lovelies. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Stay tuned, because there'll be some more amazing guests as we are taking over Tea Time with Monica for the next month, okay? To give Miss Thing, a well deserved, well needed diva break, but she will be back all May with all the tea, all the tips, all the inspiration, all the motivation, and all the humor that you guys know and love about our girl. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday night. And I'll be back, because I'm never too far away. You'll see my face again right here on Tea Time with Monica.